Hi, this is Manfred. I'd like to show you a few examples of some repairs that I've done on guitars in the past. I brought a few with me here and I can show you some specific things that I've done to make things more functional, or in this case, build a guitar from parts and that were all made from different manufacturers. It's a functional instrument when we have the final product here. So this is a Jackson body. This is an import neck. The neck had a really weird, flat on the end, goofy shape. I had enough material here to turn it into a headstock shape that is more recognizable. And I was not able to duplicate the real thing if I had to from this one. But that wasn't my goal. It was just to take away from what I thought was a detraction, because the old headstock was sort of ugly in my opinion. So this was bought at a guitar show, and one of the many guys there that run booths just selling parts, I bought this for the tuners. But then as I looked at the neck, I'm thinking, this neck has never been played. I had to fill the holes in the back of the neck. There are different means of doing that. Typically what I'll do is get a piece of wood doweling and sharpen the ends, or if you have a dowel that fits, that's very helpful. And then just push it into the screw holes that are existing. Typically it's going to be 4 holes on a guitar like this with a 4-hole backing plate. And then you can start over. You can put the holes wherever you want to. And I always glue that wood in place. So if for some reason you do use one of the old holes, or in some cases all of them, you want to drill a small pilot hole so that guides the screw to go where you want it to. I've seen where a guy will try to do what I just described and the screw turns a corner because they hit something into wood grain that he didn't intend or didn't know about. So you don't want to do that. But you try to guide the screws where you want them to be, then just make sure that fit is really tight. And all that fitting and everything is done before you ever do any drilling or filling or anything like that. Make sure the neck fits the body that you have. A lot of these parts are very interchangeable. This Jackson is very similar to a Yamaha I have. I could have used that body. Just to give an example, there are many combinations you come up with. The really major thing you need to make sure of is the string length is going to be compatible with the position of the bridge on the body. If that is not true, then you're going to have some problems with intonation on the guitar. You won't be able to use stock parts. And in which case you start getting into custom things like that, it's not worth the bother. Just set it aside or even throw it away if you don't have a good part that'll make this something that you can use. I have $5 into the neck and I have $25 into this body. This body was just online, one of the for sale sites. I made it into a hardtail. This is a floating bridge. Made it into a hardtail because I didn't want to mess with all of this stuff. It's a cleaner guitar that way. There's less moving parts, or actually no moving parts in the bridge other than the saddles. I changed the pickups. It originally had humbuckers on it. The holes for the humbuckers are there. I got a couple of pieces of black plastic, matte finish, so you don't see the shine. And I put Stratocaster pickups in it. Typically when I play a Strat, 90% I use the neck pickup. If I do use the other pickup, it's going to be the bridge pickup. And middle, I very seldom use, unless I use it in combination with the neck. So this is basically set up like a Strat. It has five-way or 3-way switch, no 5-way. It did have a 5-way when I got it. But anyway, it's got a 3-way. It plays real well. Again, with newer frets, it feels like a brand new guitar. The blue stripes are to cover up somebody's artwork they did with a screwdriver. And I don't know, I can't figure out why these scratches are in the finish the way they were, but they're longitudinal scratches. They're like this. You can still see them, but the blue tape that I put over, adhesive tape like you would put on a boat or a car, I Eddie Van Halen style tape. I made it intentional that it takes your eye off the defect, and it makes it look like something that was intentional. So, it's a 10-footer. It looks pretty decent from a distance. And there again, all the other attributes of the guitar, it plays really well. No issues on playability at all. It sounds good, but for under $35, I got something that works. Let me show you another example of having done some repairs. My wife and I were in an antique shop, and we were looking at different things. She was upstairs in a place, I was downstairs, and then as we're getting really ready to leave, she says, "Hey, there was a guitar case upstairs that had a $60 price tag on it." Well, was there anything in it? Don't know. Let's go look. This guitar was in that case. It was an old chipboard cardboard case. This is a Takamine, 1973. It had marks on it on both sides up here, as if it had gone down the freeway at a long distance, probably across the country, in the chipboard case that was rubbing, and they had put something on top of the guitar, so the first 3 frets have divots in them all the way down to the rosewood almost. The guitar was not playable the way it was. I measured the fret stock, and we went online, and I've ordered $14 worth of fret material, thinking I was going to do the entire fingerboard. When we got the fret material, it was as close to a match as I think you could get. So I replaced, as it came out, 5 frets on this guitar. It sounds good. It works. So that was $14 worth of materials, and I hadn't done a lot of fretware replacement on a guitar that I didn't want to. I've done several brand new necks. I haven't bought a piece of rosewood and cut the slots and all this stuff. But I hadn't done replacement to match other stuff that was already there. As it turned out, everything here was done with a file. I did an undercut. I made sure that I wouldn't have the equivalent to fret sprout, where the frets are actually sticking out beyond the edges of the wood. The guitar plays really nice. It sounds good. Got nice definition between all the strings, all the right stuff. And it's a $60 guitar. It's probably worth, 6 or 8 times that, at least. And it didn't take a lot of effort to fix what I did on it. The reason I hadn't cut the string ends off, I usually cut those nice and short, is because I didn't know for sure yet if I was done. Because if I was going to have to do more fret work on it, a little bit of filing and leveling, it's a lot easier to leave these strings long so you can remove the strings and then put them back in the original wind position. It's a lot easier to do that if you leave a little bit of length on the ends. So let me show you another one here. This guitar I bought for $15 at a swap meet 2 weeks ago. And it's a mid-80s copy of a Stratocaster. I changed the headstock on it. You can see this is narrower than the other one was. There was less material to work with here, but in my opinion, it looks better than the big box that was sticking up on here. It looked like something you could dig a trench in your backyard with, So I ended up replacing 5 frets on this guitar also. This guitar had what a lot of people know as somebody having played cowboy chords, A minor, E, D, and lots and lots and lots of those 3. And lots of wear. There's absolutely no wear from here up. It's like a brand new neck. The mid-80s import guitars, some of them used pretty decent wood. I don't know if you can see that, but what attracted me to this was the flame in the maple on the backside of this neck. And it does have a slab fingerboard on top of it. The neck is true. It's straight. The rest of the frets are good, and the ones I replaced now are as good as the originals. It plays nice. I made a brass nut for it because it was broken. That's probably why somebody stopped playing it. They couldn't put a set of strings on it anymore. You got 4 strings on, and then you're done. So anyway, brass nut for me is real easy to make, and everything works on it. I did an intonation on it. Another thing I did, you can't see it, and I did this with that black guitar with the blue stripes also. This is a hardtail also. On an older guitar like this, it's a lot easier to make it into a hardtail, so you don't have to worry about trying to make the tremolo true and work. And some of the materials they used in the tremolo blocks were not optimum. So this, when you block the tremolo like this, it takes all of the variables of the material or lack of precision in the tremolo system. It takes that out of the picture. This plays like a true hardtail, and it plays really, really well. If I had not been able to fix this neck, I would probably have just taken parts off it and used the parts for something else. This is a plywood body, very heavy. I would guess this guitar probably weighs over 8.5 pounds. Even though it's narrow, this is heavier than a standard American Strat. It's got little fractures here like they have for the neck, like that other one I showed you. Functionally, it doesn't do anything. This guitar plays real well. So for, peanuts, I end up getting something. Well, I've got $15 into it because I had the fret material from another project. So worst case, if you have to buy that, you're looking at $15 there. Now, if you do it yourself, that's $15. Have it done, look at a couple $100, and then it's not worth messing with this kind of stuff, in my opinion, because the guitar isn't going to be a high-dollar guitar. It's all about making it play to sound and work like a high-dollar guitar. So let me show you one other project. So the gentleman that I bought this guitar from, he had a lot of custom work done on it. He's got Texas specials here, early 70s Stratocaster pickup on the bridge, Pearl Lloyd fingerboard, or pickguard, I'm sorry. And he had the neck scalped professionally, sent it out, got it back, and he cut the end of the fingerboard off. So there was no way to secure a nut as Fender would normally have done it. I made a brass nut. I made a little mounting plate that has 2 screws on it. That's a piece of aluminum. I attached with a couple of screws, and it's been working fine ever since. And this guitar has a live tremolo, so it's it actually works pretty good. But the scalp neck is kind of cool. If you're into scalps, these are really neat. But anyway, I got this guitar very inexpensively because everybody supposedly told this guy that he ruined the neck because there was no way to put a nut in there. And they at that time, I don't think it came up for him as an option to even have a nut built for it. So, and then how do you secure it, And so you go down this whole list of things that happen when you do things wrong. So anyway, I guess my point in all this is you can do things to fix guitars or undo things that other people have done that probably shouldn't have been done. And you can save a lot of money. And the bottom line is you end up with functional stuff that works really well. So anyway, thanks for listening.